I'm Heidi Messer. I know I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to talk New York fast. So first of all, talk about what is Collective Eye. Collective Eye is an intelligent application, and intelligent applications have 3 hallmarks to them. The first is they rely on vast networks of data that are collected in a way that does not interrupt the human activities the machine is learning from. The second is they apply machine learning to that vast network of activities. And the third, perhaps most important for this event, is they visualize them in a way that does not interrupt human beings and actually augments their intelligence. We do that for sales, for B2B sales. So quickly about us, we consider ourselves pioneers in the future of work movement. What is the future of work? The idea that humans should be focused on their highest value activities. The machine should be doing tasks. So I hear a lot of people talking about how scary AI is, how we should all be afraid. I am of the other camp where I feel like AI has the potential to make human beings' lives much more pleasant, particularly at work. We're headquartered in New York, offices in Silicon Valley, and we've got over 7 patents now. You'll see my co-founders and I, we created companies like LinkShare and Overstock, our founders. We went out to some advisors to help us build this application. Those advisors span a variety of different industries and include the founders of MySQL, Comcast, a variety of people. And when you see what we do, you'll understand why we had to get this vast array of horizontal talent. Using horizontal talent, I would also argue, is a bellwether of AI because you need to bring in lots of different skill sets to reimagine the way the world should be instead of the way it's currently organized. So to give you an example of this, I'm going to ask you all to suspend with disbelief and pretend that you are 3rd generation Martian and your boss has decided to send you and some colleagues on a very important meeting to Earth. You have to get from Tribeca to Midtown. You also have to prepare for your meeting, by the way, but you have to figure out how to transport yourself there. So you've got a couple of options to figure it out. You might already know if you've been to Earth. Let's assume that you don't. Then you have to go and talk to some friends or maybe analyze some options, and if last resort is to guess. So let's say you have 3 Martian friends, or maybe your parents, who've been to Earth, and they help you narrow your activities. They tell you there's 3 ways you can get around on Earth. You can drive, take the subway, or walk. So your next step is to go and do a bunch of research, look at maps, go through every map, a walking map, a bike map. Take all that data, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and analyze it to narrow it down to some options. You then convert that into a PowerPoint. You convene a meeting with your colleagues. You present and deliberate the ideas, and this is where human bias comes into the decision. You may have risk-averse colleagues who say, let's take the least risky route. You may have ones that say, we can jam 15 meetings in if we go fastest, and then you may have ones that say, look, I just want the flexibility and have control over it. You can see the decision isn't necessarily clear. To all of us in the room, the Martians sound crazy because we would say just use Waze, right? Just pick an intelligent application that gives you the answer. It's not really crazy when you think about how business works. So this is how almost every decision is made today in business. If you look at the entire suite of tools, in fact, of Microsoft Office, they are each individually designed to do each step that I described to you. So whether it starts with collecting data, analyzing it in Excel, presenting it to a bunch of colleagues, and then sharing it, all of those steps waste a colossal amount of time. And if you think about my Martian example, we never even got to the place where we discussed the meeting. Hence the problem. So when you think about the decision-making process today, it's incredibly slow, and it comes at huge expense to companies. So when you don't have time, guess what people do? They do a lot of guessing. So welcome to sales today. Every seller in a company who's going out is creating their own new map. They're trying to understand the buyer that they're selling to. They're then manually logging data into a system called CRM, obviously no value to the outcome. And then eventually they just rely on their own gut to decide where to focus their time. And in fact, 70% of it is completely focused on non-revenue producing activities when 100% of their compensation isn't. So I'm just going to give you one quick example of how this works. And if you think about the visuals of this, so I sell sales technology. So I decide I'm going to go to my first degree contacts. Well, Mark Benioff seems like a good contact to start with. Then what I'll do is I'll go to the recommendations, which all come from an employment graph. So it tells me I should talk to Reed Hastings. Well, he's probably not super interested in what I have to offer. So then the next clue I go to is a title and a person that has a title that sounds good. I click through them. I'm not connected, so I have to go to a second application, which is called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I managed to get someone's personal email address, which obviously won't go well for me if I reached out to them on an address that they didn't intend to be used in business, which forces me to go into a third application to find their information. If I want to find out anything about this person, I have to go to Google. And then after I finish that entire process, I have to report all of this up so that my manager knows what I've been working on all day because they assume I've been lazy. For every single B2B purchase, there's roughly 6 to 8 people that are involved. And I have 3 times the number of deals that I can work on to get 1x the result. So you can start to do the math and say, what do you think most people spend their time doing? Right? They guess. Nothing else works this way. Not in sports. Athletes aren't asked to log data. Not in our personal research. Google organizes the world's information. In fact, it's their slogan. Not in how we socialize. We use Facebook and we find our friends easily and intuitively. Not in how we get directions. We use Waze, and this is how Collective I works. We provide the same level of convenience and decision-making for businesses. So if you ask me why companies have been late adopters, I think their processes are built around an old way of working. Their culture is the perception is that is the work, the Martian example that you all thought was crazy. That's what people think work is today. And then the design of SaaS products that are designed to replicate what was already there, legacy. So I would say all of the Google applications that you see there, that's their logo. They replicate the Microsoft applications before. Intelligent applications look completely different. They don't interrupt our workflow. They augment it. They make us smarter in everything we do, and they make the outcomes better. So that's my last slide. I will leave with you that they've transformed how we work and live. I'm very positive about intelligent applications' effect on our life. And in fact, in work, I think it will be the most profound. Thank you.